Hey y'all, I'm at the airport, so if there's noise behind me, apologize for that. But this video today is brought to you by the absolute BS in this world. And I'm at the airport, and this is a picture of, kind of shows you the BS that I'm talking about. It's about environmental crap and things like that. So I am now working in a company where it's tied to medical, which really complicates regulatory and political things and sanctions and bureaucracy and red tape. It's just through the roof, and that makes the cost of everything through the roof too. And that's part of the problem. We are, if you don't know, in a pretty bad economy. The recession is hitting us pretty good. They're going to want to say Trump's to blame and the tariffs are to blame, but that's this whole debacle has been in the making for quite a number of years. Nobody's got any money. Nobody. I mean, even if you get raises, I mean, it's just the inflation is through the roof. People can't afford housing. The unemployment's going through the roof. Everything's just getting crap. So these states that are least prepared for recession. Actually, the states that are colored here are the best prepared. So it's a little, it's kind of the opposite going on here from what this image looks like. Anyway, let's get back to our little debacle and where I was a little miffed at my company this week. I've been tasked with finding a couple $1 million to save money on. And unfortunately, this company has never had a facility manager working for them, so they hired me, and they don't really even know what I do or understand it. So the people I'm interviewing with, I'm trying to explain to them what I do, and they don't understand what I do. So I get into this company, and they think that my job is to come in here and just find ways to save money and make them, so profitable. But a good facility manager sees all the things they're not doing to protect them for business continuity and things like that. So you start spending money, you start finding things that you need to get done, and it costs money. Your good facility manager is always going to have operational spending go up their first year for sure, but they should be saving as time goes on by preventing disaster, and that's the whole thing. Well, my company doesn't understand that's the push that needs to happen, and they're telling me just go out there and find money. So I've found a tremendous amount of money. I've discovered tremendous waste with waste. Just like that's why I got this picture of this thing. It's a tremendous waste in the waste world. I mean, it's almost like mafia driven. I think it was mafia driven, confirmed a few years ago, probably still is. Incredible junk goes on with the waste industry. And so they haul off your crap. And then whether or not they dump it legally or not, that's all sketchy. I mean, this whole world is so sketchy. It's a total joke. But they're in the business of making a lot of money, so they're charging my properties a ton of money to haul off my stuff. And like I'm spending $3 million a year in just trash. And I've been tasked with finding a way out of that. So we have medical products. We have these like little bags, these IV bags that hang from the little thing in the hospitals, and they're pumping into you either saline or sugar water, basically. So you got sugar water, you got a little bit of salt in your water. Saline's the salt, and the other one, fructose or something, it's got a little bit of sugar in it. So the weight of the pallet is incredibly heavy when you start putting fluids in it. And it doesn't compact. Sorry to pause so the guy could tell me not to leave my bags unattended here, but where was I saying? So basically, I've got all this crap that I'm supposed to get rid of, and it's very expensive, and it's weighed down because it's fluids, either saline or fructose, salt or sugar water, just a little bit in there, but that makes getting rid of it hard. I mean, it's considered medical. It's all regulated heavily. So my quick answer is I literally suggested that we have some kind of ceiling with a bunch of threaded rod attached to it that we could just lift the forklift right up into the spikes, little death trap, and it would pierce right through all the cases, and it would make it would just drain drain the pallet, and then we could throw it into a compactor and it would crush. Because when you throw a pallet full of fluid into a compactor, it doesn't compact, it can't crush it. Plus the salt in the water is causing rust, and then the mafia owned waste company is going to hit you with the replacement of that very expensive machine too. So it's just it's so complicated. But so I'm like trying to find ways to get rid of this stuff and find ways to get rid of it while operating in a highly bureaucratic and regulated industry. And my boss said, well, we need to get permission from all the municipalities to say that we can throw away or drain the fluids out of these. So I said, are you sure you want me to go down that path? I mean, I shake that tree and we might find we don't like what we hear. and I said, I guarantee you right now, nobody's got these letters. And the trash company, they're just throwing it in a heap pile, and this stuff's getting drained into the earth. I mean, it's just such a joke. But I said to my boss a couple months ago, I said, if we try and ask this permission to drain, it's going to be tough to get. Because you're dealing with basically government employees. I mean, think of the DMV and asking them to go through their trouble of writing you a letter or email saying you can do something, and they're going to have their name attached to it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to want to do it. They're going to find any reason to delay it and file it. And this is getting ridiculous. I can't even talk with this speaker lady constantly talking. But anyway, government employees are great at telling you no. That's all they do. So anyway, I'm going to keep talking. I don't care if they're going to announce something every 2 seconds around here. It's just annoying. So I got I had to track down who these regulatory people were. That takes a lot of work. And then when I found somebody, I said, this is what I need. I'm looking for a letter. So sure enough, I got a letter back saying, well, I'm afraid we can't deny it. Our facility just isn't equipped to get rid of that quantity. And so one of these sniveling little directors, I didn't see the email, but I copied them out of courtesy and awareness, and they sent that to my boss. And I don't know what kind of conversation had that I wasn't part of, because they deleted that out of the email. But my boss fired off a super heated email to me this week saying, because he saw the rejection letter from the government employee, which I knew was going to happen, common sense. And he fires off to me, how did you come up with this calculation? You need to be more accurate with your no. So I said, this is my calculation. This is how I got it. And then he shot back with all kinds of criticism and just poking holes into my math and saying, you need to be more exact. Going forward, do not make assumptions. And, just basically pissing all over me because he's mad because the government employee said no, which I told him was most likely going to happen. This is what, nobody's going to put their name to this stuff. So anyway, we got another manager involved to get me more exact numbers, and my estimate of their usage turned out to be 96% accurate. I was off. I was over by 4% in my math. I thought that was funny that rough assumption number that I had was so dang accurate, but didn't matter. I'm not going to get an apology or anything like that. So they're just mad that the government employees say no, and I knew they were going to say no. From the very start, I knew that was going to be a no, and it's just all BS. So, yeah, corporate America totally sucks. You've got to be a, Mr. Popular or a salesperson or something like that to really survive, and I've never done well with that and feel a little frustrated. So I told Dan I was frustrated. He sent me this picture here of Mr. Positive Potato. Maybe Tiny Potato, but I believe in you. Go do your thing. He must have that on his desk because I can tell by the background carpeting that's his office. That used to be my office, and that carpeting's been there for forever, but I think since 2014. But yeah, it was a nice little gesture, and I thought it was funny, so thought I'd just share that with you. Anyway, back to recycling and how stupid this world is. I'm looking at these. I don't even know if I got into this because I was interrupted earlier and I ended up stopping the recording. So I said all this, and now I'm saying it again. At least if I hope I'm not repeating myself here, having to re-record. But these stupid recycling bins. This is my view right now. I'm looking at this, and I'm just shaking my head because I know how it actually works. This is all bullshit. It's all bureaucracy. It's all about making it's all about the illusion of us trying to save the environment, but it's not real. None of this is real. For one, if you really want to make this work, this is incredibly wasteful to do this. You've got recycling, organics, and trash right next to each other, and they're all the exact same size. And all they would have to do is run a little test market here in the airport and say, okay, what is the rate that these fill up, and make them proportionate to that so that they fill up kind of together. And I already know, because I've done this enough, that the trash one fills up twice as fast as the recycling. The organics will be much slower. It'd be like probably a fourth or a fifth of what the trash will fill up, or even less. I mean, so it would take, that thing probably doesn't fill up all day. Very little for the organics. Most of it's going to be trash. So if you were to size this thing properly, you'd have a little sliver of a bin for the organics. You'd have, say, that size bin for the recycling, and twice that, or maybe even 3 times that for the trash. And then it would make sense. The guy or woman who would come around, they would change it out, and it should all be kind of at that point where it needs it. But the way they do it now, and whoever this airport is, somebody's politically wanting to look good because they've got these things every 10 feet, and they are they're all empty, so they're changing them out on high frequency. And when they change them out, they're not doing this environmentally friendly. They're like, if there's one plastic bottle in that recycling bin, the whole thing's getting changed. The whole liner is getting changed out. It's just, always got to. They've been instructed. I am sure of this. Somebody's instructed them to keep those looking clean for appearances. And so we're changing out these things constantly. Labor on it is unnecessary. They're doing it. They're making rounds way more than they need to. They're throwing away liners way more than they need to. And here's the funny part. And I managed all these corporate buildings, these skyscrapers and all that. We have these things throughout the offices. And it's to give this illusion that recycling is happening. So you can get a certification like LEED or some gold or green or some kind of stupid thing that they can tell their shareholders and tell the world that they're so good and they're environmentally friendly. So the people are coming around doing this, and none of this is getting sorted. Like, nobody's going around pulling these trash things and putting them into different bins and then sorting it out later. The person comes around and they change them out and they just throw it all into the same gray bin. And I was recording this the first time saying that, and I said, if I see one of these guys, I'm going to get a picture of it and show you, because I know that's happening. Well, sure enough, that happened, but when I went out to take a picture, my recording stopped, so I had to start all over again. But I did get this picture, and here he is. It's the one dude. He's changing out all 3 of these things. He's throwing them all in the same thing, and that gray bin ends up going down an elevator, down to the dumpster in the basement, and it's one dumpster, and it all gets thrown in the same dumpster. That's what happens. That's the reality of our fake world. It's all appearances. It's all bullshit. And maybe occasionally you have a building where a building manager or a landlord actually just really gives a damn environmentally, and they've got something set up so there's a separation of the recycling and trash. But from my observations being in facilities, it's just not happening. It's just all BS. So I've been a little frustrated that the economy sucks. And my company is like in this big desperation squeeze to save money and trying to find a way out of this problem. And layoffs are coming, and everybody I know, friends and everything, are going through similar things with layoffs and the economy. And CarMax is crashing. They got all these vehicles they can't get rid of because they're trying to get too much money. Nobody's got any money. Nobody's got any money to buy houses right now. Like, I've got this second house. Thought I was going to sell it this year. Can't do it. Not going to be able to sell it because the market's stagnant and froze. So what we're going to do is my son's going to move in, and he's got a best friend who's going to move in with him, and they're going to help me cover the basic costs that I have. And I sunk a bunch of money into it in the last year. And so much of the money that they bleed from you. The sad thing about this world is, if you play by the rules, just like at my work, if you play by the rules and you try to get the certification letter or the email saying you can do something, the permissions, you try to do everything right, they penalize you with excessive fees and taxes. And it's this risk-reward balance. So I can see why people like Breaking Bad. I see why people break the rules, because you're so chained down in this world, in this stupid reality. You're chained down when you just try to do it right. This is why I had such a fallout with that job when I had it a short period of time with this financial giant run their headquarters, and I stopped, I got in the job, and Dan deals with the same people that I used to deal with at the water district, the underground water reserve. They charge you a tax for using the underground water, and it's typically used in Texas to help with irrigation, because that water's, even if you have to pay a tax on it, it's a lot cheaper than paying anything else. Paying city water is way more expensive. So that tax keeps going up. Back when I was doing it, that tax went from like 10 cents per 1,000 gallons to like 12 cents to 14 cents. It's probably like 25 cents now per 1,000 gallons. But it's still a lot cheaper than domestics. Anyway, so Dan and I have been dealing with that same lady with the water district. And I got into that big corporate company, and found out that we had a well that was not registered with the district, and Dan always pisses him off too, because he always writes well tax on the forms when he submits them, and she says, "This is not a tax." It's like, of course it's a tax. It's a shakedown fee. Just might as well just call it what it is. It's a shakedown fee. We're gonna have to pay for all your jobs, but we had a well that was unreporting, and I wanted to do the right thing, and I know all those people in the district, so I told the director of engineering, I said, go ahead and call this number and get that well registered. Yeah, they're going to send us a little letter that's kind of like a slap down, like you're bad, shaking your finger, but it's not a big deal. I'll go talk to them. I'll go kiss the ring, and then we'll just start paying our tax on it each 6 months. Every month you're supposed to record it and then pay every 6. So that initiated, when I first started that job, really a bad taste for me with this corporate person who I guess she was embarrassed that, she's been over the property for all these years, and the company is trying to be so environmentally friendly and DEI and all that stuff. So this was a real slap in the face to her that she wasn't on top of it, and have basically been pulling millions and tens of millions of gallons of water out of Mother Earth for years, raping her of her resources without acknowledging it and doing it without permission. So I got in trouble because I'm the one who went ahead and initiated getting it registered. And so my days were numbered with her right from the beginning. That was just a crazy shit show. This whole reality is, though, corporate America and me, it's not a great place. But I know I'm supposed to be in this company right now. Everything just kind of fell into place for me to step out and do this. So that's fine. I'll do this for however long it lasts. And if that's a short run, that's fine. I'll get out of it what I will. But I'm just posting this right now to say that, all of this stuff in this world is such bullshit. And if you try to tell anybody like that, if you try and point out how stupid it is, they all look at you like you're like you're crazy, just like the Mandela effect. You try and show people how the reality is fake, and they look at you like you're crazy. It's like that Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You're like walking around, and you're the one that hasn't been taken over, and they figure you out. They point at you and squeal like pigs out of their mouth. It's this recycling thing is just another version of how stupid this world is. And if you try to point this stuff out to anybody, they freak out. Same thing with the Mandela effect. You try and point out that the world is fake, and you show the evidence. They forget it. They freak out. They write you off. You're done. So this is going nowhere. Me pointing out that all of this recycling is bullshit goes nowhere. It does nothing. The world's not going to change. It's going to do these games of politics, and that's just the way it is. All right. I got my piece out. That's my vent for today. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe, and God bless.